Have you ever felt like God cares about others and shows up for them more than he shows up for you? If you felt this way before, don't worry because you are not alone. And in this episode, I'm going to uncover a reason why you may be struggling with this and how to shift your perspective so you can start seeing the potential in yourself that you see God using in other people. So let's get into it. If you are active on social media, then you know that social media loves to do trends. There's always something that becomes very popular and people start gravitating towards it and they start doing this thing or saying this thing. And one thing that I've been noticing lately from being on social media, especially in the Christian community, is that it has become very popular and very trendy for people to call themselves God's favorite. So it's like when they share an accomplishment or they share a testimony or something that God has done in their life, they love to put the words God's favorite along with their blessing. God blessed me with this because I'm his favorite. God allowed me to accomplish this because I'm his favorite. It's so fun being one of God's favorites. Calling ourselves God's favorite has been something that has been extremely trendy on social media lately. And even though this trend is cute, I have been seeing some people who responded very negatively to it. And that brings me to the question of, does God have favorites? Is this trend innocent or is this trend damaging? Well, in order for me to answer this question, I first have to tell you what the definition of the word favorite means. So if you look up the definition of the word favorite, it means to be preferred above all others. So if you are walking around and you are saying that you are one of God's favorites, what you are saying is that God prefers you over someone else. God cares about you more than he cares about someone else. God blessed you because he likes you more than he likes someone else. And although this may not seem like a very big deal, we have to understand that words are very powerful. And so when you're walking around and you're calling yourself God's favorite and you're basically saying that God prefers you over other people, what you are doing is you are creating an atmosphere which makes people feel like they have to compete for God's love. They have to compete for his guidance, for his attention, for his instructions, for a relationship with him. And the downside with this is that when people are competing for something, only one person can be the winner, which means that someone has to lose. And so what this is going to do is this is going to start shifting people's perspective where they view your life and they view your accomplishments and they view and compare the way that God has been moving for you compared to how they've been moving for them. And they feel like God likes you. They feel like you have won the competition and they feel like they don't measure up to have the success that they are seeking God for. And that starts to create an envious spirit in them where they're looking at you and they feel jealous. They're looking at you and they feel envious. And the reason why is because they have this perception that God has favorites. They have this perception that God likes you more. They have this perception that you have experienced something that they will never have. You have experienced something that God can never do for you. And that is a problem because the reason why God blesses us on this earth is so that we can be a testimony to other people. In order for us to be a testimony to other people, we have to inspire people with our experiences. We have to inspire them with our blessings and our breakthroughs. They're supposed to have an attitude of looking at us and saying to themselves, if God can do it for them, then God can do it for me. But instead, because we have presented this blessing and presented this testimony as being favored above all others, as putting ourselves on a pedestal that God never put us on, instead of this doing the purpose of God that he wanted it to do, which is inspire this person, which is motivate this person, which is ignite this person's faith, your testimony is killing someone's faith because they feel envious of you because they feel like they cannot measure up. Calling yourself God's favorite is cute. It's cute, it's trendy, it's something that sounds fun. But deep down, it is very problematic because it's killing a lot of people's perceptions and making them think that God does not care about them. They can be in a season where God is telling them to wait. They can be in a season where God is still working on them. They can be in a season where God told them no because he got something greater for them. And they cannot see that. All they can see is that they don't measure up. All they can see is the things that their family has told them their entire life. You're not good enough. You're not qualified enough. You don't have what it takes. You don't measure up. A person like you can't attain this type of thing. Look at this person. They're better than you. Look at this person. They're preferred over you. Maybe I never been chosen my entire life. My family never chose me. Men never chose me. Women never chose me. Friends never chose me. And I ran to God because everyone said that God is the God of love, that God will never abandon me, that God will never leave me, that God loves me how I am. But then I get around him and I compare my experience to your experience, and I see how you're calling yourself God's favorite. And now that's making me feel like I don't even measure up for God. It sounds good on paper, but when we walk around using this terminology, what we are doing is we are altering someone's perception of God, which can hinder the relationship that he has with them. You know what else calling yourself God's favorite does? It makes people believe that you got your breakthrough because you are liked and not because of your obedience. See, when God blesses us, it is because we follow his instructions. It is because we listen to his words. It is because we take in his principles. God does not handpick people and say, well, I like you and I don't like you and I hate you and I love you. So the people that I like and the people that I love, I'm a blessing, and the people that I don't really like, I'm not going to bless. That's not how he operates. There are so many people on this earth that God loves who do not experience his blessings. And it is simply because they do not know how to surrender, be obedient, and follow him. And when you walk around and you title your breakthrough being a favorite of God, you are putting a perception out there that makes people think that your breakthrough came from God liking you more than he likes other people, versus you following his instructions and being obedient to his word. This word favorite can be killing someone's relationship with God. It can be making someone feel like they have a one-sided relationship with God. I know we've all been in seasons where we have done what God told us to do. We have followed his instructions and we feel like we're showing up, but we don't see God showing up yet. We feel like we're putting in this work, but we don't see the fruit of our works yet. And when we walk around and we hear people calling themselves God's favorite, it starts to alter our perception, where we start to think to ourselves, maybe God just doesn't like me. Maybe my obedience isn't enough. Maybe my works isn't enough. Maybe it's me. Maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe he doesn't love me. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe everyone who told me that was right. I know I keep saying the same thing, but I'm trying to drive home that we have to be careful what we say and what we put out into the world. And I know you're probably wondering, if I'm not supposed to call myself God's favorite, then what am I supposed to call myself? You are supposed to call yourself a person who is favored by God. Now, hold on, because I know that some of you are probably thinking, favored, favorite, what's the difference? To be a person who is favored by God, it means that you received something from God that you did not deserve. It means that God gave you something that you did not qualify for, nor did you work for. And when you look at the Bible, what it takes to be favored by God is simply by following him and following his commands. And so when we talk about what's the difference between being a favorite and being favored is about who you are. It means that God likes you more than he likes someone else. But to be favored by God is not about who you are, it's about what you do. That's the reason why there are so many unbelievers who are still successful. Because some of them, even though they don't believe in God, they're still good at following the instructions and the principles that God laid out. So they get favored and they see success in certain areas because it's not about who they are. It's about what they choose to do. And you want to know something that's a huge difference between being favored by God and being a favorite of God's? Being a favorite of God's is a one-time experience. But being favored by God is something that can be mirrored. It's something that can be taught. It's something that multiple people can experience. You can only have so many favorites. And when you have a favorite, that means that there are some people who don't measure up. That means that there are some people who cannot be accepted. That means that there are some people who can't experience the same thing. But when you are favored by God, that can be mirrored. So when someone looks at you and they look at your success and they ask you, how did you do it? It's not, well, I'm just an amazing person. Well, God just loves me more than he loves everybody else. No, it's, I followed his word. This is the word that he told me to do. This is the journey that he took me on. These are the tough seasons that I had to experience, and I had to trust him, and I had to hold on. I had to trust him when I didn't have no money. I had to trust him when I lost that job. I had to trust him when my husband left. I had to trust him when my child was going down that bad road. These were the tough seasons where I had to trust him. And those things are principles that can be mirrored, that can be taught to other people to help them on their journey. Being a favorite kills breakthroughs, but being favored is inspirational. It's encouraging, and it's something that's going to ignite everyone's faith around you. And so, can I be honest with you guys? I haven't done a podcast episode in about a month, and I knew that I wanted to come back, and I was praying to God, asking him, what do you want me to say to your children? And he gave me a dream of this episode. He said favorites versus favor. And as I prayed to him and I sat down and I was trying to figure out, like, what about this do you want me to say? I felt like this was so unnecessary. Like, honestly, I was like, you want me to talk about something stupid that people say on social media? But in my heart, I feel like there are some people who truly believe that God has favorites. There are some people whose faith is dying, who feels like they don't measure up, who feels like God has forgotten them just like everyone else in their life. And I feel like the reason why God is calling me to do this episode, even though I don't understand it, even though I was like, we're talking about a social media post, like we're talking about a social media trend, like, but I feel like God really wants you to see how much he cares about you. He is using me to tell you to stop believing the lies that the enemy is putting out. God does not prefer that person over you. God does not feel like you're not qualified enough. God does not feel like you don't have what it takes. God wants to give you everything that he promised you. But your perception has the power to kill what he's trying to do. So as long as you make the decision to believe those lies, as long as you make the decision to believe that he doesn't love you, as long as you mistake his waiting and him holding off as him saying no and him saying that he doesn't like you, and as long as you mistake him showing up for this person a little bit faster than him showing up for you, it does not mean that he doesn't like you. It just means that you have to wait a little longer. And as long as you keep mistaking what he is doing for him disliking you, for you not being a favorite of his, for you not being somebody that he loves and wants to help, you are going to delay what he's doing. Because faith is what brings results. Remember, to be favored by God is not about who you are. It's about what you do. It's about your ways in following his commands. And every time that you believe this lie, you stop following him. Every time you believe this lie, then when he gives you an instruction, you're going to be like, oh, I'm not doing that. That's a waste of my time. This lie is going to make you stagnant in your works, which is going to delay the breakthrough from coming to you. It's not that he doesn't want to do it. It's simply that you are believing something that's hindering you. And so it's time for you to get up again. And it's time for you to understand you have the potential to be favored by God. You already are, even if it doesn't feel like it. You are favored by God. So get back up and start following him. And if you are a person who has been operating in the social media trend, remember that your words are powerful. You are not God's favorite. I'm sorry. You're somebody's favorite, I guess, but you ain't God's. Okay. You are favored by God, but God doesn't have favorites. And so this episode is not to bash anyone. This episode is to course correct those who may be doing something that God is like, no, you're misleading my children. And also to tell the ones who are misled that God didn't forget about you. And so that is all I have for you today. Before we go, I do have a weekly action step that I would love to give you. So, sometime this week, I want you to replace your words. If you are the type of person who has been going around telling people that you are God's favorite, instead of saying, I am God's favorite, I want you to say, I am grateful for God's favor. And if you are the type of person who has been discouraged, you have been sad, you have been feeling like you don't measure up, the next time that you see someone get blessed or you see someone post their accomplishments, I want you to say, God, thank you for showing me what's possible. And if you can do it for them, you will do it for me. But that is all that I have for you today. If you enjoyed this, make sure that you subscribe so that you get a notification the next time an episode is released. Also, leave a review and let me and others know how you enjoyed the show. And if you want to stay connected, follow me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Prospering with Christ. Well, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you next week.